Don't mind the absolute chaos behind me, okay? Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is April if you are new here, and I'm going to be bringing you today my February wrap up. But before I do, I want to explain what the heck is going on behind me. Clearly, I am in the middle of a giant bookshelf makeover project. This is completely unfinished. I'm only about 30% of the way through, so don't mind that. That's why there's nothing behind me. I'm on vacation right now, so this is my vacation project. In February, I ended up reading 15 books, which is pretty much on average for me. A lot of good ones, some not so good. But I really enjoyed my month, and let me tell you about them all right now. The first book I finished in the month of February was Spark of the Everflame, and I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. Spark of the Everflame is about a young girl named DM. She is a healer in her human city, and they are kind of overlorded by the descendants of God. The gods originally were meant to work with the humans and help the humans, but over time and centuries and everything, the children of the gods kind of have lost their way, so they're a bit of like tyrants. Sam is constantly asked to be part of the rebel group of humans trying to fight them, and she really struggles with that because of her healer oath and everything. She doesn't want to cause harm to anyone, even if they're God touched. DM one day is pulled into the castle because there was an accident with one of the children of the gods, and thus sparks her constant battle of whether to help them or to join the rebels. This book was highly entertaining. I really love how much DM struggled with wanting to fight back, but also not wanting to harm anyone. Clearly things are bad for the humans. They're starving, they're poor, they're kept poor. It's just, and then there's this whole issue with if the gods mingle with the humans, those babies cannot be born, otherwise the gods lose more power of theirs. So there's a little bit of that going on, that the gods try to unalive them. And it's very heartbreaking. There is a lot of politics in this, but also Luther is the prince, and they have this constant back and forth to each other. And clearly DM is drawn to him in a way, but the whole time she's just like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Which can get annoying sometimes. But I really, really loved this book. I want to immediately go into the next book, which is Glow. Crystal and I have a whole live discussion about this book where we go back and forth on it, and it was just, I really enjoyed it. It's highly entertaining, great fantasy romance in this one. So check it out. I highly recommend it. The next 4 books that I read for my cowboy reading vlog, well, I think I titled it Not Your Mama's Cowboy Reading Vlog, because man, this was crazy. I read Atomic Wasteland by Tabitha Lovelace. I also read Cosmic Crush, an alien burlesque romance by Cleo Evans. I read Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage, and then Sinner's Secret by Kayla Rain and Meg Ann. Sinner's Secret there was the top one. I gave 5 stars to. Lila Sage, unfortunately, I DNF'd. And then the other 2 were pretty mid-range, but also really interesting. I highly recommend checking out that vlog. I'll link it below because I had so much fun reading these books. They are not contemporary romances. Atomic Wasteland is like dystopian on a distant planet. It's sci-fi, it's Western, it's ridiculous. And obviously we have an alien cowboy with Cosmic Crush. Super sweet romance here, but highly spicy. The aliens got a lot of things going on. And then also Sinner's Secret is a Why Choose cowboy romance, but it's also like cowboy mafia type thing. So Those were all super fun. I enjoyed them all except for Lila Sages, unfortunately. Who'd have thought contemporary romance I'd DNF? Because obviously I did, because that's just not my genre. And then I read a quick little novella from T. Kingfisher. This is Thornhenge. I really enjoyed this fairy tale retelling. So this is a Rapunzel retelling, I think it was. There's a princess trapped in a tower, but the story doesn't follow her. The story follows Toadling, which is a little toad creature meant to protect the princess, meant to protect this area, and a prince is coming in trying to save the princess. He knows there's a curse that needs breaking. I think it was Rapunzel. I almost want to say Rapunzel, or it was, no, what's Sleeping Beauty? I think it was Sleeping Beauty. This was delightful. T. Kingfisher can't write a bad book. It was very short. I wanted more Toadling from it, okay? Very, very much more Toadling, because it was just so adorable and cozy and fantastical and magical. And it was adorable. Check this one out if you want like a quick book for your TBR. Especially in a read-along, like if you're doing any kind of magical fairy tale read-along or anything like that, this one for sure. You'll get through it quickly. I read the audiobook. It was great. The next book I read on audio is Wolf's Bane. This is by Nancy Cummings. On Everand, this is labeled as YA. It is not YA, okay? Let's get that straight right now. It is not YA. It is adult. There is only one scene, but it is graphic, so I would not classify it as YA. This was a weird one. It's kind of like a mix-up between sci-fi and paranormal, historical, and there's also a bit of a murder mystery going on. There is a werewolf attacking a town, and the main character, I forget her name. I always forget their names. I'm sorry. The names don't last with me sometimes. She is kind of battling with the fact that she's gonna have to get married to save her family and her property and that kind of stuff. And of course, there's like a duke named Alexander. He was bitten by a werewolf years ago, and he's been living in seclusion because he doesn't want to hurt anybody, but he also needs to get married to save something or other. I don't quite remember. This was an okay book. It just had a lot going on and it was interesting. I did read it all the way through and it kept me engaged. I just felt like it was kind of cool. The world was kind of cool and I wanted a little bit more of it. It's post-apocalyptic, post-technology. Again, this was kind of the same with Atomic Wasteland, where there is technology, but they're beyond that, and technology is there, but it's not very useful to them, so they're kind of going back to the Stone Age kind of thing. Yeah, it was interesting. I definitely want to read more from this series because A, the covers are gorgeous, but also they're just kind of entertaining, not too anxiety inducing or anything like that. Like it's just a nice little paranormal sci-fi romance. I don't even know what genre to classify it in. It's a romance on a distant planet with werewolves and vampires and all those kind of things. I liked it, okay? I liked it. The next book I read was a historical romance, and that is The Duke's All That by Christina Britton. I absolutely love Christina Britton. I think she writes a really good friend group. This was no exception. This book follows Seraphina, who got married very young to the hero, and then she had to leave. She had to leave, something happened, and she's been gone for 13 years, presumed dead. And then what do you know, the Duke, well, he's a Duke now, he wasn't gonna be a Duke, he finds her. He gets a letter from an anonymous person that she's alive, and he goes and finds her. And when he meets her, he's like, oh, you're going back to Scotland with me, and then we're gonna get a divorce because I can't do anything because you're preventing me from doing that because your body has never been found, so you've never been declared dead. This book is mainly told through conversations and introspection through Seraphina. Seraphina is dealing with a lot of trauma, from her past, why she's in hiding. And as she's traveling back to Scotland with Ian, she's having to kind of bring a lot of that up, and she's having to actually deal with it, and he's helping her through it. There was some really great moments in this of caretaking, and the friendship that they have and the spark that they had has never gone away, and it was just really lovely, and I freaking loved it. I did end this book wanting a little bit more of Ian and Seraphina's relationship building back up, but overall I thought it was great. I gave it 4 stars. The next book is a book, honestly, I'm shocked I read, and it is called Broken After the Plague, and this is by Imogen Keeper. This is a collection of novellas, and it is apocalyptic. So the world is actually going to shit right now. There was a plague, much like COVID, but worse than COVID. And everyone's dying. You know, all the continents are going dark because communication is getting shut off. So I'm actually really shocked that I read this because I have a lot of like COVID anxiety. So, but I read this, I loved it, and I want to read the rest of the series. In this one, there is no romance, but it is a romance series. You basically are following the hero and the heroine of where they're starting out as. The heroine is with her husband, and they're trying to decide what to do about what's happening to the United States right now. They're like, should we leave? They keep watching the news obsessively. Her husband is kind of like her rock in the relationship. She's an artist. She's a bit manic at times, and she just doesn't believe in herself. And then he is coming back from the military. He flew back in the military. He was one of the last ones at where he was at. And so he's getting off the plane, going up to the military base, and no one is greeting them, that kind of thing. It is absolutely devastating. If you have any anxiety about end of world stuff, I don't really recommend reading it. But if you can handle it, this one is great. Honestly, I really loved it. And as somebody who has a lot of anxiety about that stuff, I am shocked that I got through it and that I want more of it. I really love post-apocalyptic and stuff like this, but this first book at least is as the world is dying, and they really aren't together or anything like that. It's kind of more of where they started, and I can't say this enough, but I really loved it. I love the covers that are on Kindle too. I want to read all of them. Like, these are gorgeous. And then I read Brood and Magic by Jenna Wolfhart. This was like cozy fantasy, and again, that's not really my genre. Like, when you say cozy to me, I think of Kimberly Lemming, which is a little bit more unhinged. There is a plot going on. There's things happening. In this one, you just have 2 traveling tavern owners. One is going to a big festival, and on the road she meets another one. She doesn't really know that he's her rival. So when she gets there late because she was stuck in the mud, he's in her spot, and they're just a little bit of banter back and forth. I wouldn't necessarily classify this as enemies to lovers, but you know, there's tension there because he's kind of doing all the things that she should be doing. Someone is sabotaging her tavern, and somehow the hero and the heroine, they team up trying to figure out who that was. This was just cute. It was cute. It was cozy. There was a little bit of a mystery aspect to it. If you like cozy fantasy, I think you would love this. I did enjoy it. I gave it 3 stars. Just isn't necessarily my genre of choice. I need a little bit more action in it. This had a little bit, but I need full-on action. Okay. So this was great. I definitely would read more from her when I'm just in the mood for something lighter and not, you know, not so super actiony. Is that a word? Is that a word? And then for my weird ass romance books of the month, again, we do this monthly, Maggie and I, and we read them live together. So if you ever want to read any of these weird ass romance books, check out our book club. You do not have to read them in advance. We read them together, and then we laugh about them because they are ridiculous. So the first one we read was Pounded by Pluto, and I gave this 5 stars. It is really, really stupid. And honestly, Mating with the Mantis has been our top tier weird ass romance book. This competes, okay? This is up there for me. I would just say just as ridiculous for me. This book is really making fun of Neil deGrasse Tyson. In fact, the hero's name is Tyson Neil Grassbone. And he's, you know, Earth is shitty. Earth is shitty, and he wants to check out the second shittiest planet, which is Pluto, to see if Earth is still number one shitty, okay? So he goes to Pluto, and somehow they get it on. This was absolutely absurd in so many ways. It was hysterical. I was so entertained by it. 5 stars. And then I read one that wasn't so good, Man Whores from Outer Space. If you've ever seen the movie Earth Girls Are Easy, that's kind of like where I thought this book was gonna go, but really it was just an orgy. And maybe some slight dubious consent, because technically the aliens kind of drugged them. I mean, they were already down, but then they unknowingly drugged them to heighten everything. And it was just, this one, it wasn't as good as Pounded by Pluto. Definitely of the two, if you were to check out a sci-fi weird, the Pluto's the way to go. And then I read Prisoner of Silk by Lydia Foxglove. I'm gonna say I gave this 3 stars, but it was weird. It was weird that I can't even really explain to you. The whole thing about this is that she is supposed to submit to him, okay? She's naked a lot in front of him without anything happening, and then she's having to be, I don't even really know, but like if she doesn't submit to him, it signifies to the kingdom that he can't rule. I don't know. It was a weird one. It wasn't bad by any means, but like I think I was just a little too confused through most of it. I didn't even really write a review. I just thought it was okay, and it could have been done better, but it wasn't bad, and it was an interesting premise. You know what I mean? Like her whole, like one of the big things about this was that she'd need to orgasm on command. So he's trying to train her to do that. I just wasn't into it. I just wasn't into it. So again, it was okay, not great. Another one that was kind of mid-level for me, A Court This Cruel and Lovely by Stasia Stark. The first half of this was boring, and I almost DNF'd it. Like, I was just bored. You have, when humans come into the world, they have innate powers, but the gods take them and give them back to them when they're adults. For whatever reason, the heroine didn't have her powers taken away, so she's been having to live in hiding a bit, or hiding her powers, and through this story you slowly see that there are a lot of people like her out there, and she's kind of joining these mercenaries to infiltrate the kingdom. You know, I don't know. It was okay. The second half was much better, and then there was a really good cliffhanger. I really enjoyed it, but that first half was just dull, and I'm kind of surprised I didn't like this more. I've been seeing this around a lot, and a lot of people love it, but it just kind of left me wanting a little bit more from it. And my last book, which ended the month on such a bang, That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human. I did actually, as I was about 10% into this book, I went and bought the whole trilogy, all the new covers. I have them somewhere, but unfortunately, giant pile of books. Not gonna be able to get it right now, so I'll just put it on the screen. I already owned the original covers of the first 2, and then Mistletoe as well. However, I just needed to get the new covers. They are really pretty in person, and I love them. This story is the most unhinged of the 3. I freaking love it. I think it's my favorite. Dante is my favorite. how do I even explain this book? In this book, you are following Cherry. Cherry has been taken prisoner by another dragon, and she's been on this island for 5 years with nobody to talk to. And Dante comes in and rescues her, sort of, but then also kidnaps her himself. So she's like, I just want to go home. And she does these little things, like she's not experienced in the world that he has. Like her world is very autumnal and summery and all those kind of things. And Dante lives in Winterland. So when she goes outside and she's met with a blizzard, she doesn't know what snow is. So she like freaks out and then like crap walks back inside. I am dying laughing at these books. These books are hilarious. Again, Kimberly Lemming is one of my favorite authors. She absolutely gets my humor. I get hers. In fact, I think we're soulmates in a way. You know, in case she ever wants one, I'm here. I love these books so, so much. One day I will meet Miss Lemming and gush about her books to her. But until then, I will just have to enjoy them on my shelves forever. I can't wait for more people to read this. Like, if you read this, tag me, let me know if you loved it or not. I don't even care if you didn't, because probably the reasons that you're not gonna love it are the reasons that I love it. So these are all the books that I read for February. Let me know if you're interested in reading any of these, or if you have read them, let me know what you thought about them. I had an absolute blast reading these books in February, and I cannot wait to see what March has in store. All right, thank you for joining me today. As always, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.